so I don't have a clever intro for this video, or indeed any other video that I've done, so I think I'm just going to quickly talk about this photo and then we'll get into the edit. So this is a photograph taken of Chelsea Wolfe. Chelsea Wolfe is a goth rock artist, I guess that's the best term for it, in that she makes very dark, very sad, emotionally devastating music, and it's great. And as you can tell from my delightful pink t-shirt, I too am a goth. This is taken in 2018 at SWG3 in the TV studio when she was opening up for Ministry. And I want to talk about this photo for two reasons. One, because I've taken it on my old camera, so it gives me a chance to talk about the difference in shooting technique I have between when I was using a DSLR on the Canon 6D, which took this, and now that I'm using a mirrorless camera like the Canon EOS R, which is filming this as always. And also to talk about the idea of thinking about your placements when you're shooting. So this image is shot portrait because it involved me thinking about how I wanted this image to be used on social media, as well as how it would be used as part of a review for the publication. So let's take a look at the image first, and then I can talk through those interesting elements. Excuse me. As always, drinking again, because it's the key to the creative process, I find, is alcohol. So on that great public service announcement, so here's the final image of Chelsea Wolfe I used at the time. Chelsea Wolfe is a set of goth artists, so I wanted to make a very gothic dramatic image. Purples, blues, cool colours, dark colours, excuse me, strong blacks, strong shadows, and various other things. So this is how the image ended up. This is what it started with. So the first thing I actually want to address is compositional before I get into any editing, which is the amount of extra headspace here versus the final photo, I should say. So this comes down to a technical aspect of DSLRs versus mirrorless cameras. So a DSLR, for people who don't know or aren't just nerds like me, is a camera with a mirror in it, and as such there's sort of physical limitations behind that as to where the camera can focus, and it tends to be in cameras, particularly the 6D, which when I had it was actually an older camera, and by this point it's a very old camera, although still brilliant. If you look for a great full frame DSLR, Canon 6D is an incredible option. All the focus points are clumped in the middle. On the Canon EOS R, which is filming this, it's a mirrorless camera, so it doesn't have a mirror, it doesn't have those physical restrictions. It works much more like something like your phone, so I can choose the focus points across the entire screen by just simply dragging my thumb across the screen in my eyes up at the viewfinder. The second component of a mirrorless camera versus a DSLR. DSLR, you see what's reflected through the lens on a mirror. So again, there are physical limitations to that, and it doesn't accurately represent what the photograph's going to look like in terms of how it relates to your manual settings for your exposure. Gives you an idea, but it's never 100% right. Mirrorless camera has an electronic viewfinder, so what it gives you is a preview of what the image will look like in camera, so that gives you a lot more control about A, composition, because you can choose if you want to focus, and B, the way the image looks before you even get to the editing process, and DSLRs don't allow you that kind of control. So that's why with images like this, you'll find I have a lot more space, because what I'm aiming to do is make sure I can get what I want in the image in focus, so that would be about here. This is probably about the edge where my focus points were in the 6D, so as you can see there's a lot of the frame where I wouldn't have been able to focus, whereas on the Canon EOS R I would probably bring in a lot more. So let's bring it in a lot more. I'm going to crop, pressing R to open the crop tool, bring it down to about here. I want there to be a bit of space above this light, and that fills the frame nicely. It also lets me use this as an interesting piece of backdrop to create a bit more claustrophobia and sense of drama and depth to the image by blocking off this bit of the foreground. Having done that, I'll go through and do my usual setup. I'll enable the lens correction to correct for any weird aberrations in the lens itself. I'll put in strong contrast because I want it to be a strong contrast image, especially because it's goth. And then I flatten the colour profile. Excuse me. So I've got a bit more dynamic range to play with. So settings wise, this was shot at 4000 ISO, it was shot at 1/500th of a second, and it was shot at f2.8, and it was shot on the Sigma 50mm art lens, which almost all the photos I've shown in this series so far have been, because it's my favourite lens. I find it's the most versatile, even though it's a fixed focal length. The reason I went for those settings was because f2.8 gives me a reasonable amount of light, but also allows me to keep a bit of focus in terms of my depth of field, but also, as well as giving me that amount of focus, it also lets me blow the background out, which is quite helpful on smaller stages where you maybe aren't getting that sense of scale in the first place. You can kind of create that through the bokeh effect. Bokeh being something out of focus when either the background or the foreground is in focus. 1/500th of a second shutter speed, because you want it as fast as you can possibly get it without things being too underexposed for action, so you're freezing the moment. ISO 4000, I needed it to be relatively fast in terms of ISO. That was probably pushing it on the 6D. ISO 4000 on the Canon EOS R, I would go to 4000 easily, happily, and it would look 5 or 6 times better than this at that kind of high ISO. But the extra grain that you get at a faster film speed works, I think, for live photography, makes it feel a bit more real. So another interesting, that's going to be the thing for this video, I'll do this as thumbnail, interesting aspect of this image is you can see there's slight elements of banding occurring here and here. If I go back to this, you can see it a bit more over here, just these kind of lines appearing in the image. So those occur because most lights now are LEDs, because they're more effective and they look good and they're not as hot, etc. But also LEDs flicker at certain frequencies, and if your camera's shutter speed gets fast enough, then you're going to capture those flickers. And that's a particular problem with mirrorless cameras, because the way the sensor works, it's like the old internet, it pulls the image down, so it'll pick up the bands across it. It's not as big an issue with the DSLRs actually, but you do occasionally get it. Obviously that happened here. It's not a huge issue, you can only kind of see it, and it kind of almost feels like it's just an effect within the lights itself. And I think it's important for photographers to always keep in mind that productions are not designed for us to photograph, they're designed to be incredible productions for a fantastic shared experience, and our job is to document that. I try not to worry too much at all about productions. They're going to be what they're going to be. My job is to try and capture great moments within that. The productions should not be designed around that a photographic standpoint, and worrying about that I think is a waste of time. Just work within it to get the best images. If you get the odd bit of flicker, the odd other kind of weird artifact of production things, people don't mind if the image looks cool, they don't mind if they can see the nuts and bolts if it's a great photograph. Which I would like to think this is, and for the sake of more ego, I'm going to say that it is. So having done that initial round of correction, I'm going to go into my basic correction here, and I'm going to cool it down because I want it to feel quite kind of cool and dark and cold, so it feels quite gothy. I immediately want to crush the blacks because I want it to feel quite dark. I want the blacks to be really black. Again, that sense of drama. Claustrophobic. I'm going to underexpose it a wee bit to bring everything in again. And because of the movements of our hands near our neck, it's obviously a very emotionally raw image. And I've got these nice kind of black drapey things, because being goth is so cool here, which also keeps me cover a bit of space and brings everything in a wee bit more. I then want to blow out my highlights just a little bit, because I like that contrast of quite strong highlights and quite strong blacks. Bring the whites down a little touch to again make the image a little touch darker, and again bring those shadows down, which will hide some of the details in the guitar, for example. But I really want there to be that kind of contrast where you're seeing the hair and our fingers almost highlighted by the shadows and the darkness around them. So having done that, I then punch up the details and the colour strength a little bit with my texture and my clarity, and then I go for 15 vibrance and 15 saturation as usual, my kind of go-to colour palette. I might even bring up the dehaze a little tiny touch, just clears up some of the haze, and again a little bit extra blackness, a little bit extra darkness. From there I go to sharpen my image, so I'll just mask it, because I want to essentially just almost get Chelsea's silhouette sharpened up and nothing else. So that looks about right. I'll bring that up a little touch. I then want to go down and add in a little bit of post-crop vignette, despite removing that in the lens correction. Again, just that little bit of drama and claustrophobic feel. I want to really highlight this kind of like, she's like grasping at herself in desperation. So I want to focus in on that as much as possible, eliminate large amounts of the background, bring everything into this kind of section here. Just then nicely highlighted by the guitar kind of pulling off frame as well. Okay, so having done that, I come up and I look at my HSL sliders. I probably want to play with the tone of the green a little bit. Make it a little more green, a little bit less green, don't know about that. And I want to play with these blues, bring them a little more that way, so a little bit of turquoise, and the actual blue here. Yeah, I like that being a little bit more purple. Go to my saturation, play with the greens, I may actually saturate those greens a little bit more. Blues, desaturate them a little tiny touch, and this aqua here. Don't do a huge amount, so I just play with it a little bit there. Then what I want to do, I've got this kind of feel, is probably come down and play with the calibration of my blues a little bit. Fiddle about with this, I want them more purple, I want them more bluey. That makes things look more bluey, it's really nice and cold now. I don't know if the reds will have much effect with this image, to be honest. Not especially to make my greens a bit greener. So I think we'll probably leave that as is. And then the greens, very much an effect. Not a huge amount either actually, in terms of this image. But I'm going to leave them a wee bit down there because I like this a bit purplier. Feels quite kind of goth, that kind of nice purple. And I'll play about with the luminance of the colours if I want to brighten up a wee bit to bring in a few more details. Play with the purples a little bit with the blues. A little touch, I like that this brings the highlights here up a little bit more. Expose them a bit, as you can see it's, the shadows now in this darkness are really, really dark. They're almost cutting off the image, which then forces your eye into this bit a little bit more, which is the ultimate goal here. So everything else looks quite good, so at this point I then come down and I will split tone the image. Playing in across the board, and then I start playing about with how I want to colour my highlights. So I probably want them to be this kind of a little touch greenish, and then play with my shadows, see what I want them to be. Probably not quite as purple as that, maybe a little bit more bluey, and then see how I want to bring those up. That's obviously a bit too intense, maybe I'll put a little touch more, and then I just play with the balance, see if I want a little more green, a little more purple, I think a little bit more purple, like so. And then I'll play with the saturation on the purples a little bit here. I want to bring it down just a little touch, it feels a little bit softer. Feels like kind of, I guess almost grayer. Goth feels quite kind of pastel to me, it should be very kind of saturated. And then I might just desaturate the greens a little bit now that I've played with the calibration. Down there a little bit, and we can play with that aquas a touch as well. Just smoothing it a little bit. Okay, so the image started off like as you can see here, and obviously it's quite drastically different. It's a lot greener, a lot brighter. The shadows aren't as intense as dark. It's a lot kind of flatter, and then now it's a lot darker, a lot dramatic, a lot more closed in, and there's a lot more kind of contrast between the darkness and the darkness and the highlights being blown out there, which gives a bit of sense of depth. And you can see this kind of illustrates the banding I was talking about a little bit more again, but I don't think anybody would really particularly notice or care. And actually, when it comes to landing on how it lands on our arms and stuff, it's quite a nice little element. So let's take a look at that full screen. So yeah, that's Chelsea Wolfe. So just to quickly again run through the point of using this image was to illustrate how shooting portrait is important as well when you're considering how photographs are going to be used. Now, they're not just going to be used as a part of publication, where they would typically landscape, they're probably going to be on social media as well. Increasingly, a lot of social media placements incorporate vertical, so you want to get a nice mix of the two things. If I had been shooting this as a portrait, sorry, as a landscape image, it may have looked something like this. I just unlock my crop there, that would help. So it might look something like this as a landscape. I don't think there's anything wrong with this photo, I quite like it. Again, there's a lot of focus on here, but if I then take it back to where we were before, it feels to me like the vertical has a stronger sense of like drama. It elevates the height of things, it gives things a bit more of a sense of scale, but also as well as having a sense of scale, it kind of is a little bit more claustrophobic because of those exaggerated angles. If you make it landscape, it's still obvious that it's quite a big room, and this could essentially be more or less anywhere. I think that's important. And then the other element was just to talk about how the limitations of your gear don't necessarily affect what you can do in post. So in this case, there was massive limitations from a compositional perspective, from focus points, and the intense timing, or the intense lack of timing I have when I'm shooting these kind of shows. So I try not to worry about that as much and just focus on getting an image that's good, fix it later on as post. Ideally get it as close to being good as possible before you take it into post. That would save everybody a lot of time. But this is kind of the main idea for this. So there you go, that's editing photo of Chelsea Wolfe. If you like goth music and goth things like pink t-shirts, you should definitely check her out. And that's that, I guess. So that's another tremendously smooth ender to these things.